What's up, NASCAR fans? I have some incredible news for you guys. If any of y'all checked the latest posts on my channel these last 2 days, you'll notice that NASCAR has officially revealed their schedules for the 2027 season. And that is why, in this video, I will be going over all of them. I'm going to be including every single national series. Yep, all 3. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the Cup Series just like we've always done, right here, right now! Alright guys, so first of all, let's talk about the Clash. Remember when it was held at Bowman Gray Stadium these last 2 years? Well, guess what folks, that's never gonna happen again. Instead, the Clash will be returning to its forever home, which is also the track that's hosting the regular season finale tomorrow night, Daytona International Speedway. This race will now be called the Wheatley Vodka Clash. Yeah, that's right. You didn't expect a new sponsor to hop on board now, did ya? Anyways, this race will be held 1 day shy of Valentine's Day and Super Bowl 61 in Los Angeles. Now let's get to the regular season. We're still going to be doing Daytona 500 qualifying as well as our usual Daytona duels and the first 5 races of the season, including the Great American Race itself, all of which get moved up a week. And then we're going to take a quick little break. After a week off, we return to normal, as Darlington gets its April date back. Bristol doesn't move, except this time it'll become race number 7. Martinsville gets its April date back again. Talladega and Texas do not move, except this time they'll become races 9 and 10. Kansas, however, gets its Mother's Day date back. Nice. Remember when Dover hosted the All-Star race earlier this year, and North Wilkesboro hosted a points race 2 months later? Well, let me tell you something, guys. They are trading places. This means that Dover is back to hosting a points race once and for all, and North Wilkesboro returns to host the All-Star race for the 4th time. That's only the Fox Sports side of the schedule. Now let's get to the Prime Video side. The Coke 600 and Nashville both get moved up a week, with Nashville of course getting its June date back. Pocono does not move, except this time it'll become race number 15. Michigan of course gets its Father's Day date back. Chicagoland gets its June date back and will now become the final race before the in-season challenge, which, get this, is back for a 3rd straight year on TNT Sports. And I think we're gonna get to that right now. So Iowa moves to its July date and will now become the first race of this tournament. It will be held on 4th of July weekend, the same weekend as Monster Jam World Finals 26 in Indianapolis. Sonoma gets its July date back again and will now become race number 2. Atlanta will still become race number 3, only this time it gets moved up a week. The Brickyard 400 does not move, except this time it will now become the second to last race of the tournament. If you thought the first ever Cup Series race at Naval Base Coronado was a complete success, guess what folks? We're doing it again. That's right guys, the Cup Series returns to the streets of San Diego for the 2nd year in a row. It will move to its August date and become the final race of the tournament. After this, we're going to take another break, and that's when NBC Sports and USA Network take over for the rest of the season. For the first time since 2019, the Bristol night race will get its traditional August date back. What a surprise. Gateway also moves to its August date as it'll no longer be in the chase, along with the Bristol night race of course. Daytona's night race does not move, only this time it'll become the second to last race of the regular season. The Southern 500 does not move either, only this time it'll become the final race before the chase. For the first time since 2021, Richmond gets its traditional September date back, and this time it'll be chase race number 1. How cool is that? Watkins Glen and New Hampshire get their September dates back as well, with the Glen being race number 2 and New Hampshire being race number 3. The second Kansas race gets its October date back and will now become race number 4. As for the last 6 races of the season, they're all going to get moved up a week. This includes the Charlotte race once again being held on the Oval, Talladega being held on Halloween weekend, and Homestead once again hosting the championship. This time it'll be held 2 days before my 28th birthday. Which Cup Series race are you most looking forward to next season? Tell me in the comments down below, alright? Now let's get to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. As always, the first 5 races of the season all get moved up a week. Darlington gets its April date back. Bristol doesn't move, except this time it'll become race number 7. Martinsville gets its April date back again. Talladega, Texas, and Dover all do not move, except this time they'll become races 9 through 11. It has been 42 years since the O'Reilly Series last came to North Wilkesboro Speedway. But guess what, guys? They're back! That's right, folks, the O'Reilly Series makes its grand return to this historic racetrack on All-Star Weekend. Charlotte and Nashville get moved up a week, with Nashville getting its June date back. Pocono doesn't move, except this time it'll become race number 15. Chicagoland gets its June date back. Iowa and Sonoma get their July dates back. Indianapolis doesn't move, except this time it'll become race number 19. The first ever O'Reilly Series race at Naval Base Coronado was a complete success. And if you thought that race was pretty good, guess what, folks? It's time for round 2. The O'Reilly Series returns to the streets of San Diego as Naval Base Coronado moves to its July date. Bristol's night race gets its traditional August date back. Gateway moves to its August date. Daytona and Darlington do not move, only this time they'll become the last 2 races before the chase. And it kicks off at a track that the O'Reilly Series has not been to since 2024. That's right, folks, the O'Reilly Series makes its grand return to Richmond Raceway, which will now become race number 1. Watkins Glen gets its September date back and will now become race number 2. Kansas gets its October date back and will now become race number 3. And the last 6 races of the season all get moved up a week. The Charlotte race will now be held on the oval once again. Martinsville gets its November date back, and Homestead will once again host the championship. It will take place 3 days before my 28th birthday. The O'Reilly Series schedule will also have 6 off weeks. Which O'Reilly Series race are you most looking forward to next season? Tell me in the comments down below. Alright, last but definitely not least, the Craftsman Truck Series. But first, let's talk about sponsorship. Rumor has it that it might not become the Craftsman Truck Series anymore after this season. Instead, FedEx Freight is expected to hop on board. FedEx became Denny Hamlin's primary sponsor for a majority of his career at Joe Gibbs Racing. But the question is, will it also make a good Truck Series title sponsor? Yeah, we'll see about that later, but for now, let's get to the schedule, shall we? As always, the first 3 races of the season all get moved up a week, with the main focus being the St. Petersburg Street Course. The first ever Truck Series race here was a complete success. It was so successful, we decided to say, why not give it another shot? And that's exactly what's going to happen, as this racetrack will now move to its March date. Darlington moves to its April date. Bristol doesn't, except it'll become race number 5. Texas gets its April date back. Kansas gets a second Truck Series race for the first time in quite some time. North Wilkesboro, Charlotte, and Nashville all get moved up a week, with Nashville, of course, getting its June date back. It's been less than 2 years since we last saw the Truck Series at Pocono Raceway. But guess what, folks? They are back. They're going to make their grand return to the Tricky Triangle, as it will now become race number 11. Michigan gets moved up 2 weeks. Lime Rock does not move, except it's now race number 13. Echo Park Speedway gets a second Truck Series race for the first time in God knows how long. IRP doesn't move, except it's now race number 15. And Bristol's night race gets its traditional August date back. Remember what I said earlier about Bowman Gray Stadium hosting the Cookout Clash these last 2 years? Well, the Truck Series decided it's their turn. That's right, folks. The Truck Series makes its long-awaited debut at this historic racetrack, and it will now become the second-to-last race of the regular season. But wait, there's more. You thought they were done going somewhere north of the border? Well, you better think again. Guess what, folks? NASCAR is back in Canada. Boy, I feel so excited, I could just sing. In fact, I think I will. Oh, Canada, our home and native land. That's right, guys. For the first time since 2019, the Truck Series makes its grand return to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park on Labor Day weekend, and it will now become the final race before the chase. New Hampshire gets its September date back again, and will now become the first race of the chase. Kansas moves to its October date and will now become race number 2. And the last 5 races of the season all get moved up a week. The Charlotte race will once again be held on the oval. Martinsville gets its November date back, and Homestead will once again host the championship. It's going to take place 4 days before my 28th birthday. And to finish it all off, the Truck Series schedule will also have 14 off weeks. Wow! Which Truck Series race are you most looking forward to next season? And what did y'all think of the 2027 NASCAR schedules I just covered for you guys? Tell me in the comments down below, alright? Well guys, that's the end of this extremely long video. Thank you so much for watching. And hey, if you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, comment, and of course, subscribe to my channel. And also, if you're new here, just click on that notification bell and never ever miss a single upload. Bye-bye, everybody, and until next time, as always, I'm out of here, y'all. Peace! Whew, I need a drink.